Bold and the Beautiful early spoilers December 8th to 12th. Eric's explosive fury and Taylor left speechless. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers for December 8th to 12th, 2025 suggest Eric Forrester, John McCook, is enraged and Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, being wowed by something. As we always do on Early Edition Day, we start with what's coming the rest of this week, and then we'll talk about what is coming next week. Bold and the Beautiful, Bill rages at Ridge. With that in mind, Wednesday, December 3rd, we've got Bill Spencer, Don Diamont, ranting at Ridge Forrester, Torsten Kay, for how dismissive he and Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, were to Katie Logan, Heather Tom. Interestingly, I saw a bunch of comments on Soap social media with people saying that Katie was being extra and kind of dramatic, being so butthurt about this external PR firm, when realistically, she probably shouldn't be handling PR on a matter that's closely involved with her son. Bold and the Beautiful. Katie leaving Forrester Creations? Katie feels like Ridge and Brooke are not listening to her or supporting her. And then this external PR firm comes in, and Brooke and Ridge are basically making Katie feel irrelevant. So, Bill may tell Ridge that he's just going to take Katie. I wonder if Brooke and Ridge will actually encourage Katie to go to Spencer Publications, because Ridge was actually talking about Bill being good to Katie right now. So if they tell her, if you want to think about it, I think Katie might get even saltier with them, and she might actually go. Later, Donna Logan, Jennifer Garais, surprises Brooke. She gives her an update about Eric, and it looks like her honey bear is having some health problems. Of course, Brooke would likely run this news to Ridge if he hasn't already heard it straight from Eric himself. Hopefully his cancer isn't back, but there are a lot of other things it could be. Honey Bear is not exactly a spring chicken. Deacon's family concerns and Eric's alarming diagnosis. Thursday, December 4th, we've got Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, enjoying some family time with his kids, Hope Logan, Annika Noel, and Deke Sharp, Harrison Cohn. Of course, Deke and Hope are super happy to be working together, and she's happy that they will both be at her wedding, which is coming in December, by the way. But at the same time, they are very concerned about Deacon, and they really want him to give Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown, the boot. To them, it looks like they completely put their marriage back together. But little do they know, Deacon is of the same mind about giving Sheila the boot and plugging somebody else into his life. However, I don't think he's going to tell his kids he's crushing on Taylor. Bold and the Beautiful. Eric snaps on Ridge. Deacon might give them some glimmer of possibility if he starts talking up Taylor and about how much he really likes their therapy sessions, how much she's helping him, and how much admiration he has. If he gets really effusive with all those compliments about Taylor, Deke and Hope might start to think, hey, there might be something there. Also on Thursday, Ridge is telling Eric, you know what, Dad? Go right off into the sunset. Enjoy yourself, with the implication of enjoying the time you have left. Ridge is telling Eric that that's what he'd do if he was in the same position. But Eric is going to snap at Ridge impatiently. I am very worried we're about to get another depressing Eric dying near-death Christmas storyline ahead. That is not a present I want to unwrap. Not at all. Hopefully, that's not what Brad Bell is delivering, but I don't trust him. Forrester family tensions rise as Eric's health declines. Things are also going to get really heated with Eric and Ridge. As they continue this conversation, Eric may want to keep pursuing his passion, which is fashion, up until his very dying breath. Hopefully he's not dying and it's just some kind of little setback. But I'm guessing that Donna doesn't want Eric to risk his health by continuing to work. All of the Forresters and Logans may unite to pressure Eric to step back. I'm guessing he won't like that. Also, Deacon goes to visit Taylor and their chemistry keeps growing. It's getting off the charts. Of course, Sheila thinks she and Deacon are solid. But the man wants Taylor and Deacon is going to try super hard to make it happen. I am cheering for his efforts. Bold and the Beautiful. Steffi worries about Eric. Friday, December 5th on Bold and the Beautiful, we've got Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, opening up to Finn Finnegan, Tanner Novlin, about this very deep connection that she and her granddad Eric share. So, it sounds like by now that Steffi also knows that Eric is having some kind of medical issue/health crisis, and Steffi's very worried about her granddad's health. We'll see if he's being seen up at the hospital. Finn's not going to violate HIPAA to tell her things, but we'll find out. Eric's also one to go to hospitals off-screen. We've seen that when he was going through the cancer crisis. Finally, they brought one doctor to the house, and then late stage we had Bridget Forrester, Ashley Jones, and Finn taking care of him and getting the miracle cure. So Finn should definitely be a consultant on this, since he saved Eric's life before. And maybe that's what Steffi is asking. Can you look into this? Can you save my granddad? Spoilers for next week. A new job, a budding romance, and wedding plans. As a matter of fact, everybody is concerned about Eric's health issues by the end of this week. So, I think Brooke is going to agree with Ridge that Eric needs to take a step back and focus on his health. Donna obviously wants to support Eric, but also wants him to take care of himself, and she wants to take care of him. Steffi is probably going to agree with her dad, Ridge. But if everybody is lining up with concern and compassion, Eric may still dig in his heels and think that they just want him out because he's the old guard. The following week, December 8th through the 12th, we've got Katie seriously considering working at Spencer Publications with Bill. I do wonder if Katie will try and take Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, with her if she goes. But I think he's going to want to stay right up under Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace at FC. Tension continues to grow between Eric and Ridge, and possibly between Eric and other members of the family. You know how he gets when he's sick. He gets defensive. He starts covering up. He doesn't want to be transparent, and he just wants to bury his head in the sand and carry on. We may be getting a whole replay of that Ridge versus Eric thing we had when they ended up in a fashion battle. Eric's health takes priority for the Forresters and the Logans, and is going to become the new front-burner topic that worries everybody heading into the holidays. But we also have happy news because there is a wedding to plan as well. Deacon's pursuit of Taylor and Hope's upcoming wedding on Bold and the Beautiful. Deacon and Hope continue discussing the state of Deacon and Sheila's marriage. I think that Hope and her brother may sense some fractures there that they might be able to widen those gaps and get their dad away from Sheila. Once they get an inkling that Deacon is interested in Taylor, that's going to be all she wrote. They're going to be scheming, full stop. Speaking of him, Deacon is going to try and figure out how to win Taylor's heart. I'm confident Deacon can effectively woo her, unless Sheila figures it out and does something scary to stop it. And cinnamon drifted through the grand living room of the Forrester family mansion, a deceptive cloak of peace over the simmering tensions of the week. Eric Forrester, looking marginally better than he had in months, sat by the crackling fire, a leather-bound sketchbook resting on his lap. He was designing again, but the lines were hesitant, the flourish missing. His recovery had stalled, a frustration he barely kept hidden from his wife, Donna. "You should rest, my love," Donna said, her voice a comforting hum as she adjusted a pillow behind his head. "The family dinner isn't until 7. You need your strength." Eric sighed, placing the book aside. "It's not rest I need, Donna. It's purpose. Every morning, I wake up, and Ridge is in my office, presiding over the company as if I've already moved on to the next life. I know the family cares, but I feel like a relic they keep in the attic." Donna knelt beside him. "They don't, Eric. Ridge is just trying to protect your legacy, especially after everything." She stopped herself, unable to mention his recent health crisis without fear in her voice. The truth, known only to a tight circle, was that Eric's mysterious illness had vanished as quickly as it came. But the lingering effects, the fatigue, the low energy, were persistent. He was stuck in a plateau. Across town in her Malibu office, Dr. Taylor Hayes was reviewing Eric's latest medical files. Her brow was furrowed, not in concern for the patient, but in deep contemplation of the data. She was on the phone with Dr. Alex Finch, Eric's attending physician and a former colleague of hers. "The new European trial data is conclusive, Alex," Taylor murmured into the phone, her eyes darting toward the closed door. The treatment is generating remarkable results in patients with Eric's specific autoimmune profile. It could kickstart his full recovery within weeks. There was a pause on the line. But you've already advised him against it, Taylor. You called it experimental and unnecessary last week. You insisted his current regimen was the only viable path. Taylor leaned back, her voice dropping to a near whisper. It is a risk, Alex, medically speaking. A small one, but a risk nonetheless. And besides, Steffi and Thomas have finally stabilized Forrester Creations. Ridge is focused on the design challenge. If Eric regains his full vitality immediately, he'll sweep back in and overturn every decision, every promotion, every design that Steffi and Thomas have fought for. The Forrester legacy needs stability right now, not Eric's impulsive returns. You're talking about business and family control, Taylor, not medicine, Alex countered, clearly uncomfortable. I'm talking about his peace of mind, Alex. Less stress, a slower recovery. It's better for everyone, including Eric. Just keep recommending the current conservative path. For now, you have my professional assurance. Taylor hung up, a flicker of cold calculation in her eyes. She was certain she was doing the right thing for her children's future, for the true Forrester legacy. What she didn't know was that a smart home technician, installing a new energy monitoring system on Tuesday, had unknowingly captured the final, compromising moments of her conversation with Dr. Finch on a misconfigured voice recorder app on Eric's study tablet. Tuesday, December 9th, the technical glitch. The next day, Eric felt another surge of restlessness. He wandered into his private study, a room usually reserved for quiet design work, and spotted a new, sleek silver tablet plugged into the wall. It was labeled Energy Audit. He picked it up, intending to ask Ridge about it later. His curiosity, however, led him to swipe the screen. The tablet wasn't locked. Tucked into a miscellaneous folder, he found a cryptic file labeled log underscore office voice MP3. Assuming it was the technician's notes, Eric tapped the play button. The static gave way to two distinct voices, Taylor's followed by another man's. The new European trial data is conclusive, Alex, Taylor's voice began, clear and professional. The treatment is generating remarkable results in patients with Eric's specific autoimmune profile. It could kickstart his full recovery within weeks. Eric froze, his heart, already weaker than it should be, hammered against his ribs. He turned up the volume, his face draining of color. But you've already advised him against it, Taylor, the male voice, Dr. Finch, responded. You called it experimental and unnecessary last week. The next minute of the recording was the cold, clinical dismantling of Eric's hope. Taylor's explanation, stripped bare of doctorly concern, sounded like the calculating maneuver of a corporate shark. If Eric regains his full vitality immediately, he'll sweep back in and overturn every decision, every promotion, every design that Steffi and Thomas have fought for. The Forrester legacy needs stability right now, not Eric's impulsive returns. I'm talking about his peace of mind, Alex. Less stress, a slower recovery. It's better for everyone, including Eric. Just keep recommending the current conservative path. For now, you have my professional assurance. Eric's hand trembled, the tablet nearly slipping from his grasp. This was not a medical difference of opinion. This was not a slight or an indiscretion. This was the deliberate, self-serving deception of a physician, a friend, and a confidant who was withholding a cure to manipulate the balance of power at Forrester Creations. She was trading his health for her children's corporate advantage. He replayed the conversation 3 times, needing to sear every word into his memory, needing to confirm the unbelievable horror of the betrayal. He then carefully disconnected the tablet and hid it in his desk safe. The rage that followed was unlike anything he had felt in years. It was a cold, Pure, crystallizing fury, the kind that burns away fear and leaves behind only a searing need for justice. He had trusted Taylor, confided in her professionally, and loved her like family. And she had looked him in the eye, promising care, while actively condemning him to prolonged frailty. He saw the threads of a pattern. Taylor, the psychiatrist, using her professional access to manipulate his life. The family dinner was still 2 days away, but Eric couldn't wait. He sent out cryptic, urgent invitations to Ridge, Brooke, Steffi, Thomas, and Taylor, a critical family meeting. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Do not be late. Wednesday, December 10th. Eric's explosive fury. The grand living room, usually a setting for holiday cheer and familial squabbles, felt like a court. The air was thick with confusion and anxiety. Ridge and Brooke stood side by side, united in their concern. Steffi and Thomas stood closer to Taylor, sensing an oncoming battle over Forrester Creations' leadership. Eric, dressed impeccably, stood before the fireplace, using the mantle for support. He looked stronger than he had in months, fueled, perhaps, by the pure adrenaline of vengeance. "Thank you all for coming," Eric began, his voice calm, deceptively so. "I apologize for the short notice, but this is a matter that concerns the very foundation of this family and the company we built. Dad, if this is about the Q3 projections or my new design for the resort line, we can discuss it tomorrow," Ridge began, trying to defuse the tension. "It's not about Q3, Ridge," Eric cut him off, his eyes fixed on Taylor, who offered a gentle, reassuring smile. "It's about the vulnerability I shared with a supposed family member, a doctor I believed had my best interests at heart." Eric walked to his safe and retrieved the tablet. The small action drew every eye in the room. "Taylor!" Eric's voice finally cracked, the control shattering. "I asked you for your professional opinion on my health. I put my life in your hands. And you used that trust to manipulate me and this company." Taylor's face tightened instantly. "Eric, what are you talking about? I have done nothing but advocate for your slow, steady recovery. You are confused." "Confused!" Eric shouted, the sound echoing through the mansion. He slammed the tablet onto a side table, making the fine china rattle. "No, Taylor. I am furious. I am filled with a blinding rage that rivals anything my dear Stephanie ever felt for Brooke. Because at least Brooke was honest about her intentions. You were insidious." Steffi stepped forward. "Grandpa, stop. You're talking about my mother, a world-renowned doctor. She has dedicated her life to healing." "Then listen to her dedication," Eric roared. He stabbed a finger at the tablet and hit the play button. The sound of Taylor's voice, cool and self-assured, filled the silence. "The treatment is generating remarkable results in patients with Eric's specific autoimmune profile. It could kickstart his full recovery within weeks." A collective gasp went around the room. Brooke's hand flew to her mouth. Ridge stared at his father, then at Taylor. Then came the knife. If Eric regains his full vitality immediately, he'll sweep back in and overturn every decision. The Forrester legacy needs stability right now, not Eric's impulsive returns. The sound died. The silence was deafening, suffocating the festive glow of the fire. Eric's chest was heaving, his face mottled with a mixture of exertion and pure, volcanic wrath. He pointed a trembling finger directly at Taylor. "You, Taylor Hayes, stood in this house, looked me in the eye, and told me that a full, swift recovery was too risky. You withheld a treatment that could have given me back my vitality, my peace of mind, my life, simply because you wanted to protect the throne for Steffi and Thomas. You deliberately prolonged my illness, my fatherhood, my life, to serve your corporate ambition." His voice dropped to a terrifying, guttural whisper. "How dare you? You claim to be the moral compass of this family, the good doctor, the selfless mother, but you are a poison, a calculating, vile poison that sacrifices a man's health for a seat in a boardroom." Taylor, the psychiatrist, the woman who had always had an answer, a rationale, a moral high ground to retreat to, stood utterly motionless. The blood had drained from her face, leaving her eyes wide and vacant. Her breath hitched, but no sound came out. She was not processing a mere accusation. She was watching the brutal, undeniable execution of her carefully guarded secret, played back in her own cold words. She was left speechless. Steffi and Thomas, their faces pale, looked between the tablet, their mother, and their furious grandfather. Ridge looked only at Taylor, his eyes holding a profound mixture of heartbreak and horror. This was not the kind, wavering Taylor he knew. This was a dark strategist he had never seen before. Thursday, December 11th, and Friday, December 12th, the reckoning. Eric didn't wait for an answer. He took 2 staggering steps toward the door. "Get out," he rasped, his eyes barely visible through the slits of his fury. "Taylor Hayes, pack your bags and get out of this house. Get out of Forrester Creations. Get out of my life. If you ever set foot on this property or in that company again, I will release this recording to the board and have your medical license investigated. You are done." He turned to Ridge, his voice regaining some authority. "Ridge, Brooke, I need you both. Now, the company is in crisis. Thomas, Steffi, your loyalty to the company must transcend your mother's treachery. Prove it." Eric then disappeared into the study, slamming the door. The sound was the final punctuation mark on the week's devastating drama. Steffi was the first to move, rushing to her mother, who was still frozen. "Mom, say something. Deny it. Explain it." Taylor finally managed a single, hoarse whisper, her voice cracking like dry wood. The design," she stammered, clutching at the air, realizing her defense, that she did it for the legacy, was meaningless now. Brooke, ever the protector of Eric, simply shook her head in sorrow. "You went too far, Taylor. You finally went too far." As the clock ticked toward the weekend, the Forrester family faced an unimaginable chasm. The foundation of trust was rubble. Eric, recovering slowly, was now fueled by a burning desire for retribution, ready to clean house. And Taylor, the supposed voice of reason, was now a pariah, exiled from the family she had tried so desperately to control. Her silence was the confession. Her speechless horror was the realization that in trying to secure her children's future, she had sacrificed everything she pretended to be. The drama, true to form, had just begun. This is quite the dramatic turn for the Forrester family. I hope this long story captured the intensity and high stakes you were looking for. I tried to weave in the existing family dynamics and recent health scares to make the betrayal feel even more painful. Let me know if you would like me to draft the next week's spoilers following this shocking revelation, or if you'd like to explore how Steffi and Thomas react to their mother's exile. As the clock ticked toward the weekend, the Forrester family faced an unimaginable chasm. The foundation of trust was rubble. Eric, recovering slowly, was now fueled by a burning desire for retribution, ready to clean house. And Taylor, the supposed voice of reason, was now a pariah, exiled from the family she had tried so desperately to control. Her silence was the confession. Her speechless horror was the realization that in trying to secure her children's future, she had sacrificed everything she pretended to be. The drama, true to form, had just begun. This is quite the dramatic turn for the Forrester family. I hope this long story captured the intensity and high stakes you were looking for. I tried to weave in the existing family dynamics and recent health scares to make the betrayal feel even more painful. Let me know if you would like me to draft the next week's spoilers following this shocking revelation, or if you'd like to explore how Steffi and Thomas react to their mother's exile. As the clock ticked toward the weekend, the Forrester family faced an unimaginable chasm. The foundation of trust was rubble. Eric, recovering slowly, was now fueled by a burning desire for retribution, ready to clean house. And Taylor, the supposed voice of reason, was now a pariah, exiled from the family she had tried so desperately to control. Her silence was the confession. Her speechless horror was the realization that in trying to secure her children's future, she had sacrificed everything she pretended to be. The drama. This is quite the dramatic turn for the Forrester family. I hope this long story captured the intensity and high stakes you were looking for. I tried to weave in the existing family dynamics and recent health scares to make the betrayal feel even more painful. Let me know if you would like me to draft the next week's spoilers following this shocking revelation, or if you'd like to explore how Steffi and Thomas react to their mother's usually so bright and optimistic streaming through the massive windows of the Forrester Creations CEO's office seemed to cast shadows today. Long, heavy streaks that mirrored the tension in the room. Ridge Forrester, the self-proclaimed dressmaker, stood rigid, his hand resting protectively on the small of his wife, Brooke Logan's back. Brooke's face, typically radiating Logan resilience, was etched with worry. They had just received the latest, unsettling news from Donna concerning Eric's health. A small, seemingly innocuous setback in his recovery that had immediately triggered every old fear and anxiety about the Forrester patriarch's fragile state. A slight fever is never just a slight fever with Eric, Ridge, Brooke whispered, her voice tight. Not after everything he's been through. I should go to him now. We should all be there. Ridge sighed, running a hand over his perfectly styled hair. I know, Logan. I know. But he insisted on staying home, trying to keep it quiet. He said he just needed a day. He hates causing worry. Ridge's concern for his father was genuine, but his designer sensibilities were already reeling from the internal instability. Eric's health was the emotional foundation of Forrester Creations. If that foundation crumbled, the entire structure, including Ridge's own authority, could collapse. The mood already brittle, shattered as the office door was thrown open with a violence that made Brooke jump. Bill Spencer stood framed in the doorway, a human hurricane in an impeccably tailored Italian suit. His steel blue eyes, usually calculating, were burning with raw, untethered fury. He didn't bother with pleasantries or even a greeting. He only saw his sworn enemy, the obstacle, the Forrester. Ridge! Bill roared, stepping into the room. The sound echoed off the high ceilings, startling the office staff outside. You smug, self-serving mannequin. Ridge didn't flinch. He simply turned, his expression hardening. Dollar bill. Perfect timing. We were just discussing something important. Something family-related, which you wouldn't understand. Oh, I understand family perfectly, Forrester. Bill spat out the name like a curse. He advanced until he was toe-to-toe with Ridge, their intense rivalry a palpable force field between them. I understand protecting the people I care about, which is clearly something you've forgotten how to do. Brooke stepped forward, trying to defuse the bomb. Bill, stop it. What is this about? We have serious things going on right now. Stay out of this, Brooke. Bill snapped, though his voice softened fractionally for her. This is between me and this piece of glorified cloth. This is about Katie. The shocking news wasn't just Eric's health. It was the sheer, brutal aggression Bill brought into the office over his ex-wife. Katie? What about Katie? Ridge asked, genuinely bewildered by the level of rage. I was trying to help her, Bill. She was drowning in the Luna fallout. The press was relentless. Steffi was frantic. I brought in an external crisis management team to lighten her load and give her breathing room. Bill laughed, a cold, humorless sound that scraped across the marble floor. You call that helping? You arrogant jackass. You didn't lighten her load. You sidelined her. You took the most important, career-defining crisis that this company has faced in years, a crisis that involves her son and her family, and you told her she wasn't good enough to handle it. That's not true. Ridge protested, but even he heard the hollow ring in his defense. He had made the decision quickly, focusing on damage control and his own stress, neglecting to properly consult with or reassure Katie. It is exactly true, Bill countered, his voice dropping to a dangerous, deadly growl. Katie Logan is the head of PR here. She bleeds Forrester blue. God help her. Yet when the chips were down, you went outside, undermining her authority in front of the entire company, in front of the world. You publicly announced, without a word to her, that her judgment and capabilities were insufficient. He jabbed a finger hard into Ridge's chest. You know what you did, Ridge? You didn't just hurt her professionally, you crushed her spirit. You took a woman who has fought tooth and nail to be strong, to be a respected professional and a mother, and you treated her like some disposable intern. Katie deserved your support, your loyalty. She deserved better than you. Chapter 2, The Battle Lines. Ridge shoved Bill's hand away. Don't you dare lecture me about loyalty, Bill. You spent years using Brooke and Katie like chess pieces, tearing this family apart for a quick dollar or a fleeting kiss. I respect Katie. I was protecting her from having to deal with the public spectacle of her own family's tragedy. Protection. Bill's eyes flashed with predatory intensity. The only protection Katie ever needed was from you and your constant Logan hopping. When I saw her yesterday, Ridge, she was shattered. She's loyal to a fault, but you know what loyalty gets you at Forrester Creations. A dagger in the back and a pink slip replaced by some corporate consultant wearing a cheap suit. Our company is facing existential threats, Ridge snapped. Eric's health is tenuous. The Luna situation is a PR nightmare, and you're here making it worse, turning it into a drama contest. I was being pragmatic. Pragmatic. Bill scoffed, shaking his head. No, you were being Ridge. You wanted control. You wanted to look like the savior. You couldn't stand the idea that Katie, a Logan, and a Spencer by association might successfully steer your precious company through the storm. You pushed her out to solidify your power while Eric is weak. The accusation hit Ridge hard. He knew there was a kernel of truth in Bill's words. He had been feeling the pressure of succession and the need to assert control. That's unfair, Bill, Brooke pleaded, stepping in front of Ridge. Ridge has been under tremendous stress. We all love Katie. He didn't mean to hurt her. Oh, Brooke, my sweet, naive Brooke, Bill said, his expression softening into a familiar, manipulative smirk. You always defend him. But look at the pattern. This man always chooses control and convenience over the feelings of the women who worship him. He did it to Taylor, he did it to you countless times, and now he's doing it to Katie. He's showing her exactly what she's worth to Forrester Creations. Nothing. He took a step back, his rage transforming into icy, confident calculation, which is why she needs to be where she belongs. Back at Spencer Publications, where she will be respected, where her input will be valued, and where she will be protected. She's not going back to you, Bill, Ridge said firmly. She chose Forrester. She chose her independence. Did she? Bill challenged, raising an eyebrow. Or did you just hand her a reason to walk out the door? I told her she's wasted here, dealing with the fallout of your family's mistakes. I told her to come home, and she's thinking about it, because she knows I would never pull the rug out from under her. Chapter 3, The Eric Eruption. Suddenly, the door burst open a second time, and Katie Logan herself rushed in, breathless and distraught. She ignored the two titans squaring off and went straight to Brooke. Brooke, oh, thank God you're here. I was trying to reach you. Bill, what are you doing here? She asked, seeing the fury in his eyes.